What if Fallout 5 was set in London? Hi guys, I'm Light, and today we're going to be kicking off a new series on my channel where I discuss what I believe Fallout 5 would be like if it was set in a certain location. I plan to do many videos like this, with the next one probably being about Canada. So if you enjoyed this video and want to see more, consider subscribing. I'm hoping to hit 10 subscribers by the end of the week, so it would really mean a lot. With that said and done, let's get into the video. So, what if Fallout 5 was set in London? What would the theme be? The enemies? The factions? Well, here's how I picture it. The game begins with you waking up on your farm, just outside of London in the hills in the middle of the night. You walk over to a mirror, and this is where you pick your specials and design your character. After you've done that, you look out of the window, and your farm is on fire, before it eventually spreads to your house. You run through the house, escaping the fire, and now with your home gone, you get a new quest, following the flame. The quest tells you to head into central London, to find out who caused the fire and why. This way we give your character the briefest backstory possible, giving you all of the room to fully create your own character. Now, let's talk about the map. So, the middle of the map would be London, with the outskirts being filled up by homes, farms, bunkers, military bases, and all of the usual Fallout things. There would be a main city, known as Crown City, which has been built around Buckingham Palace. The Queen and the Royals, which are a faction within the game, but we'll get to that later, would run this city. There would be another town/city surrounding Big Ben. This would be kind of a mutual ground zone where everyone is welcome, filled with a pub, an inn/hotel, and many other trading areas. This would be the main trading point of the entire game. There would be four main factions, three gangs fighting over territory throughout the map, which I believe would be great for the main quest. These gangs are known as the Craze, the Railers, the Skinners, and the Royals. Now, let's get into more detail about these gangs/factions. The Craze. The Craze run most of London. Their goal is to simply run all of it. They have the Royals in their pockets and in debt. The Craze are pretty well suited, mostly wear jewelry with high-end suits carrying Tommy guns to put down their enemies. This gang is led by the Cray brothers, two ghouls who were gangsters before the bombs dropped. After the fallout, they used the opportunity to take over most of London, helping settlers, for a price of course, providing safety, as long as you're willing to do something for them in return. The Crays are ruthless and want nothing more than to have all of England at their will. Now we have a faction which I probably think is the most interesting. And before anyone mentions it, yes, I was heavily inspired by Snowpiercer. This gang is known as the Railers. They're less of a gang and more of a regular faction. The Railers ride the London Underground, the train in a circle which goes all the way around the Underground of London. The leader of the Railers, Stephanie, found a way to make the train provide heat, electricity, and water just by keeping the train running, which is why the train is always moving and hardly ever stops. The Railers are caught in the middle of this gang war between the Skinners and the Crays, being forced to choose a side. Although they don't want violence, they simply want to keep their people, the passengers, safe. Next, we have the Skinners, a cult-like faction of killers and thieves currently at war with the Crays. The Skinners kill, cook, and eat their enemies, worshipping their leader, Locke. And finally, we have the Royals, which, you guessed it, is a faction of the royal family who are now ghouls, being run by none other than Her Majesty herself. The Queen is stuck between a rock and a hard place. She wishes to take over London once more and be in charge again, as do half of London's citizens. But she's worried a secret might get out, a secret which the Crays know and are holding her in debt with. This is how the Crays have been running most of London, and how they have the Queen's guards and the royal family in their pockets. Now that we've gone over the factions, let's go over some enemy ideas I have. Rad pigeons would be a must. Now, before you tell me how stupid this sounds, you gotta remember we literally have rad roaches and flies. London is filled with pigeons, believe me. So I think that they could replace the rad roaches and other small enemies. Next, we have raiders, just regular raiders, which you see in every Fallout game. With how many foxes there are in England, I think rat foxes would work too, alongside rat wolves and dogs. Going along with the rat pigeons and rat foxes, I think rat rats would also fit in here. Now, let's talk about some of the random slash misc things that I think would be in this game. First off, you would definitely have some kind of tea, so there's that. I think because it rains in London constantly, we could have some type of acid rain showers, which are extremely deadly. I definitely think we would have some unique chems. I did think of one I called Blitz, which is like a pill you take that makes your health regenerate 50 times faster for 60 seconds. This would be great for them high level enemies in combat. And a few other little things, I definitely think the Royal Guard armor would be in this game, along with a few factions that aren't tied to the main story, such as a faction of good thieves who travel via train tracks to steal from the rich and give to the poor. Maybe a faction that kind of replaces Voltec, although this wouldn't be a joinable faction. Now, let's very quickly go over some pros and cons of having Fallout 5 set in London. One of the pros is that we could finally see a Fallout game set outside of the US. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really interested in seeing how the rest of the world is doing within the Fallout universe. Having a game set in Europe could massively expand on that. Another pro is that this could be a spin-off game, much like how New Vegas was, meaning Bethesda could give the rights to another company, like Obsidian again. Now, the only con I can actually think of is the most recognizable thing in Fallout is Vault-Tec. They're always involved somehow. The lack of Vault-Tec, Vaults, bobbleheads, Vault Boy, etc. It would be kinda jarring to me. Anyway guys, that's how I think a Fallout game set in London could work. Now, I do want to mention quickly that a lot of the screenshots within this video have been from the up and coming Fallout London mod team, so all credit goes to them for those pictures. So, what do you guys think? Would you like to see Fallout 5 set in London? If not, leave some suggestions for my next Fallout location video below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, and if you want to support me and this series, please hit subscribe. I'm really hoping to hit 10 subs by the end of the week, so it would really mean a lot. With that being said, thank you guys for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.